Hello.
Okay,
Mr.
go.
Jones, I'm just have a question for you about two different forms of law. One is English common law and Napoleonic Code. Do you happen to know the difference between them?
No, you explained to me briefly before the meeting, but I do know English common law.
English common law, which is what the United States Constitution was
Correct.
based upon,
Yes.
is we are innocent until proven guilty.
Correct.
Napoleonic Code, which is what Mexico and quite a few other countries are based upon, that is you're guilty until proven innocent. We are going to have, in this country, you're going to have lawsuits and judges and court cases that nobody's going to be happy with. And that's the downside of English common law. You can have Napoleonic Code, but I have literally watched people pulled off the streets in Mexico and other places in this world. As an airline pilot, I watched people pulled off the streets for no reason whatsoever, away from their families, away from their homes, away from everything, basically because they had angered the wrong politician, angered the wrong policeman, whatever, and they had no alternative but to sit there and try to defend themselves, to be found that they are not guilty. They are guilty until proven innocent. Can you imagine what sort of a situation that is? Our law is based upon the fact that they'd rather see 100 people that are guilty go free than one innocent person end up in jail. And we see that often, unfortunately, people that are innocent, even in this country. We hear about it all the time with the new DNA evidence. People end up in jail and they didn't. They're talking about a kid that was 14 years old. Right now, he was the youngest child ever, or youngest person ever put to death in 1944 for 2 murders that he wasn't anywhere near. The trial lasted for less than a day. The actual trial itself lasted for 3 hours. And a few weeks later, he was dead, executed by electric chair. He was so small that the bands that held him in place would not even hold him. They had to come up with expedients to hold him in place. 14 years old. Our law system is not, I'm sorry. Our law system,
if you can wrap up.
Our law system is not perfect. It can't be perfect. Democracy is not perfect. But you know something? It's 100 times better than anything else we've found so far. And if you don't believe it, look at the person over in North Korea right now, and I can't remember his name right now, who's been in jail because they're basically under Napoleonic Code. He's guilty until proven innocent. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your thoughtful comments.
I'm looking for speakers 17 through 20 in case you weren't back in the room when we made the announcement. Perfect, thanks.
Hi, my name is Valerie. I am a resident in Buena Park, and I just wanted to say that right now, with those officers on the force, I don't feel safe. Not at all. I used to ride my bike all the time over here, and now I just can't. I can't look at a cop and just be like, oh, he's going to be here for me. It's hard to. And I don't think this meeting is really necessary. Why do we have to have a whole community come together to tell you that putting these men back on the workforce is wrong? They don't deserve the honor to serve in any public domain. Kelly Thomas is being attacked day after day. Every minute we let these officers walk free. We're all watching it happen. Some of us are trying to make it stop. Whose side are you guys on? Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Hi, my name is Patty Beers. I'm a journalist. Woo! I'm a real journalist. I'm not the kind of journalist who go out for a break and don't come back.
Please address the council.
I'm going to address everyone here, okay? Because everyone here needs to hear what I have to say.
Well, you can if you address the council. It is on a speaker system.
You know what? The whole entire council can hear me no matter what way my head is turned. It doesn't matter. You can hear me. I can speak loud and clear. I'm a journalist. On Saturday, I came. There are at least five other journalists, and I mean real journalists, people who come and they film unedited, where the world can sit and watch live while it's happening. 5 of us, at least, maybe more people that I don't know of, are doing live broadcasts on Saturday. Sorry guys, my hands are shaking. I'm really excited. I saw, and the world, thousands of people around the world saw, watching on their computers and their smartphones, they saw Fullerton police on Saturday targeting real journalists who are telling the truth, not the kind of journalists who stand in the back of the room with their really big cameras and call the cops and say from their offices, hey, what happened? And expect the cops are going to tell them the truth, because we all know, everybody in this room knows that they lie. The only way to know the truth is to see it with your eyes. The truth that you see with your eyes is the only truth that you can see. And on Saturday, January 18, 2014, Fullerton Police Department targeted real journalists, real people doing real live streams. I was in jail. I went to jail. I was in the paddy wagon with Adam. Adam, the guy in the nice white shirt who told you that we were threatened, that there would be 12 sheriffs waiting for us. I don't remember the exact words, but it was something meant to be very intimidating. They wanted to make us scared. They tried really, really hard to make them scared. But I made it clear to them that if any one of them, if anybody touched any of us, if any of them hurt us, that there would be thousands of people around the world who would know. That's what real journalists do. They tell the truth. So there's something else I want to tell you about mainstream media, those people with those big, heavy cameras. There were at least 3 of us real journalists who were assaulted by those people with the big cameras. I accidentally stepped in a man's view, and he grabbed me by the shoulder and pushed me away. There was another young woman. She was pushed by CBS woman with a big camera on her shoulder. Yeah, there's tons and tons of video of that, of this young 19-year-old girl pushed by CBS.
Please wrap up. We have
Okay,
others who'd like to
one more
speak.
thing that I need to cover. So a lot of people came up here and they talked about that there was some spray painting and things like that. And while I don't agree with that, I understand the outrage that these young people had when they spray painted. But I also want to clarify that there is a difference between property damage and violence. Violence is not spray paint. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen of the council, ladies and gentlemen of the audience. My name is Joe Embriano. I'm a Fullerton resident. I'm the the site administrator of the FullertonInformer.com, and I'm here tonight to discuss the travesty of justice that is going around the world over the internet, over the airwaves, and the slant that's being put on it. About a year and a half ago, I started encountering a strange phenomenon amongst the community members that I'm somewhat loosely involved with, and that is this strange dichotomy of things are just going to pan out. And let's let the wheels of justice turn, and let's have faith in the system. Well, here we are, folks. We're looking at the system, and the system, in my opinion, is rigged to the hilt, corrupt to the core, and what we have now is a large percentage of the population still sitting home on Saturday morning when 200 of those protesters were out there. Ostensibly 100 of them may have been from out of town. So what I'm trying to figure out and trying to rationalize is how have things gotten so much clearer and the apathy grown so much more. If there was only maybe 100 Fullerton residents out there out of those 200 people, my gosh, what's wrong with the moral compass of this community? What's wrong with the pillars of this community? The clergy, the education establishment, the people in this police department that have children, that have grandparents that live here, the people that work at the hospitals, the first responders. Where's the outrage? Where is the moral compass pointing? At everybody's pocketbook, at their job security, at their reputations, at their connections to their fair weather friends? I honestly am at a loss for words over what I've witnessed. I'm not an attorney. I'm just a young guy that has a desk job, that has a lot of time on his hands to read things. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize that Kelly Thomas was murdered. And we have a video of it, and they walked. And in my opinion, the jury was rigged and the case was thrown and the decks were stacked, and they weren't stacked in the American people's favor, because this is a precedent-setting case where a televised execution on national television can go basically with no recourse to the victim or his family at this point, from what I can gather. And that's a very chilling thing. And to hear these allegations from these people arrested on Saturday, that is just unbelievable. Will anybody ever learn from what has happened here? Will anybody please step on the other side of this dais and join the people and do the right thing and get the Justice Department out here, get a consent decree going, do something. Somebody throw down their name plaque and just give up your $1,500 a month stipend or whatever to do what is necessary. Because we all got kids, and there's no place else to go on this planet. The United States is the last bastion of freedom and liberty on this planet. We've got to do something to preserve it. Thank you very much. Good night.
We are ready for speaker number 21, and if 23 through 25 would please come line up.
Okay. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Gene Thaxton, and I'm from Downey, California. My son was murdered by a cop shot in the back with a submachine gun. I was one of those middle-class people that stayed at home and watched TV and was complacent and didn't even know what was going on in the world. I didn't know it. I was ignorant. And you guys, if you don't step up and do something, you're ignorant too, and you're going to remain that way. I didn't know that these things were happening. I was at that protest on Saturday, and I thought it was wonderful until a couple young people came out with their spray cans. I didn't like that. I didn't like that. I appreciated the fact that the police wasn't out there harassing us, and they weren't in the beginning. But when those young people got a little bit out of hand, the cops went overboard. Come on now, bringing out riot gear and tanks, and going and snatching people off the street. It went from the right thing to do to insane. I was watching. I went home. I left at about 2:30. I went home, and I had the TV on. I had the computer on, watching the live stream. And as I was watching the live stream, the different live streams, and these reporters were just streaming and filming, and all of a sudden, they were snatched. They weren't out there causing any problems. They weren't doing anything, and they were snatched. Why? First of all, why in the world would the police department act like we're a third world country to bring people out there loaded to the eyeballs with weapons, with people that they know didn't have weapons? They know they didn't. The people weren't rioting. There was not a riot. It was not a riot. Even though those young people that came out there and did the things they should not have been doing, it still wasn't a riot. But they were treated like they were, and then to snatch those people that were filming, they beelined for those. And all those charges should be dropped. You guys should drop those charges. You should insist on it. And I'm going to tell you, yesterday I went out to Highland because a young 16-year-old was shot and is in the hospital, lost a kidney, part of his liver, major damage to his stomach, is on life support. They don't know if he's going to live because the police officers did not know how to handle a person with a hammer. So they shot him. That's the kind of thing the police officers are doing now, Dan. You need to make a change. You guys need to make a change. Somebody has to start. There has to be a starting point with the police department. You guys need to go change that POBAR, the Police Officers Bill of Rights, to where you're protecting the citizens. You're protecting the citizens. Okay, righteous police officers need to be protected. But you know what? When they do the things like they did to Adam and to Patty Beers, come on now. You don't want that kind of people. They should be reprimanded. And let me tell you something. The whistleblowers should be promoted. And the whistleblowers should be getting medals and honors. The whistleblowers, you need to protect your whistleblowers.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hi there. My name is Janie Patsis, and I hate talking in front of crowds, but I hate more what took place in Fullerton. And I heard Mr. Barnett made a comment that the officers did not have any malice in their hearts and that they were just doing the jobs that they were trained to do. You got to be kidding. Kelly Thomas was homeless, schizophrenic, sick. Are these officers trained psychologically before they go out there? Because it certainly didn't look like they were. Mr. Cincinnati went after the same eye on Kelly Thomas, the same eye that he lost. Did he get psychologically tested before he came on this force? They are all saying that Kelly was crazy. No, I think that way those officers acted was crazy. And the only training that I saw from that video is training how to cover themselves, how to lie, how to say he's resisting. They made it impossible for him to get his hands behind his back. Why couldn't they have handcuffed him when he was sitting there? And we would still have a life, and hearts wouldn't be broken. And the way the city handled it when it first happened was no heart. Those officers had no heart. Let me clarify that with Mr. Barnett. No heart. And that's what those hearts are for here tonight. To bring back heart in Fullerton, we need to set the example. This is happening too much. Cops are just killing people that are not armed. Why don't they can't you guys come up with another solution? That you save lives? That's your last resort? And then they come out with this big old squad and tanks and everything on Saturday? Really? I can understand that nobody should break the law. I don't think they should. But, you know, I wish that whatever you call it, the riot gear company or with the Hummer, I wish they would have been there for Kelly. What do we do as citizens if we see officers kill a citizen? What can we do as citizens? Jump on and get killed too? What is our hope? So those hearts are for hope. Those hearts for all the people in Fullerton that have broken hearts because of what you did to Kelly. And those 6 officers are guilty because not one helped Kelly or showed heart. Not one. Nobody heard his cries. Nobody heard "I can't breathe." Nobody stopped beating him. Nobody did anything. And that is not heart. And if you're going to be a true professional and wear that badge, you better have a heart before you have the badge. And that's all I have to say. And I hope it gets it back.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hello, Police Chief, Mayor, City Council. Thank you for hearing me. I'm Linda Hagstrom. I'm a registered nurse. I'm a homeowner and a citizen of Fullerton for 58 years. Our parents saw fit that this was a good town to raise us in, and the rest of my family who has children see Fullerton as a good town as well. When my father graduated from Police Academy, a long time ago, words were used like honor and admiration and safety. And those words aren't used today in Fullerton, where our police officers aren't admired. And Fullerton is in deep trouble here. And it breaks my heart, not only for Kelly, but for Fullerton. We're in deep trouble. And I thought to myself, what's the answer here? And when a parent calls the jail to see where her son is, and it's met with loud chewing on the phone and laughter, ha 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 ha, on the phone, that's unprofessional behavior. And that's simple unprofessional behavior. And when a kid gets loaded on the bus, or all the people that got loaded on the bus, and a police officer comes in to harass and taunt, that's crossing a line. So I thought, does this lie with our leadership in Fullerton of the police department? big responsibility there. Is it education? It certainly is training. Our police officers are required to have a high school diploma. Do you want anybody with just a high school diploma and a training session where they build brawn in the police academy to control your very life? I propose to you that you start thinking about requirements for our police department, for our entry-level police officers with a bachelor's degree, which would give them time for maturing, which would give them critical thinking skills, which would help them stop when they're enraged with adrenaline in their bodies, to stop and think and not to proceed to harmful solutions for our Fullerton townspeople. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your idea. Next speaker, please.
Hi, my name is Terry Taramura. I'm a resident of Orange County. I have family and friends that live in Fullerton, and I shop and drive through Fullerton. I know you weren't at the murder trial for Ramos and Cicinelli, but I was. And I have to tell you that the people did not get a fair trial. Mr. Rakakis never wanted to even file charges on these officers, but he was forced to because of the public outcry. And he wants to keep his job. So the jury was stacked for acquittal. He knew who he was approving for the jury, and he knew that he was going to put a defense attorney. He okayed that defense attorney to sit on that jury. So who do you think convinced that jury that those officers were innocent? He clearly colluded with the other side. And the people did not get a fair trial. He never called any witnesses from the bus stop of that night. He never intended for those officers to be charged. So I really hope the FBI steps in and prosecutes these killers. The jurors were given a smokescreen and fed lies, and they bought it. So I don't blame the jury, but I don't say, oh, well, the people had their day, the jury spoke. I don't accept it. I don't accept the verdict. And I will protest for Kelly and my brother Michael Nida, who was killed in Downey. And as for Saturday's protest, I was there also. And after 6 hours of being out in the heat, I also left, and it was peaceful. Like my mom said, my mom was just up here. It was peaceful. There were a lot of angry people out there, as you can imagine. We were all very angry. But there's some young kids who don't know how to act, and us older people were trying to keep them in line. And we don't condone the tagging and the vandalism. But what I don't appreciate is the media, the lamestream media here, who says that there are 150 to 200 people out there. There were close to 400 people. And this verdict affects all of us, not just Fullerton. And that's why we're coming in from out of town. And it really bothers me that, Dan, that your officers went out there and targeted those live streamers, like my mom said. They targeted the live streamers, and they came out in riot gear. We were not rioting. And I guess this happened after I left. And this is what I heard and I saw on the live streaming. They were snatching up people in undercover cars. This is unacceptable. Don't we live in America? Where are our rights? Where are our constitutional rights? People were there paying respects at Kelly's Corner, and they were snatched up.
Thank you.
We are on speaker number 25, so 26 through 30, please come line up.
My name's Kendra Castaneda, and I'm a resident of Fullerton, and I've been here probably about a year and a half. And I've also been a victim of a former police officer here in Fullerton. so I know what it's like to be a victim from an officer. And I was told that 3 months ago that former officer Ron Bear was let go from the police department. While in my interview with Sergeant Cleggett at the police department, she reassured me that he would never hold a badge again, nor ever be a police officer, or ever be a detective. And I was given a letter by Chief Hughes over here, understanding my frustrations with former officer Ron Bear. And I've only been here for a year and a half. Never did I ever think that I would be a victim of a 27-year-old veteran. He put me in harm's way, but he also put my daughter, my 11-year-old daughter, in harm's way. And he's been let go. He's not prosecuted for what he's done. He put a gun to my head, and he could have pulled the trigger. And Kelly Thomas, he's not alive today to say what he's been through by these officers. I know there's good officers and bad officers because I was raised by a police officer. He was like my only father. And now he's the chief of police for one of the largest police stations in the United States. And I also was trained within a police department in law enforcement. And this is not how police officers are supposed to treat people. And just because Kelly Thomas was homeless and had mental issues and he was resisting, as what they say, doesn't mean he should have been beaten. Chief Hughes over here, he said that you may want to consider the poor choices you have made to contribute to your situation, as if it was my fault what his police officer did to me. Please do not reinstate Officer, what's his name? Cicinelli? Because if I'm being told that the officer that hurt me and my child is never going to be an officer again, then why should we be here talking about this?
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
I represent Dave Bankston, a member of Kelly's Army, Mr. Mayor and Council. No, I've been here from the very beginning, early on and during these council meetings. Mr. Whitaker, you should be stepping up a lot more than you have. You've been here through it all. Mr. Flez, I'm disappointed in this whole council in the way that they have acted on proposals with the police department and things that the police department is getting away with. We're constantly being violated our rights as American citizens. You know, I have an incident that happened this evening where my daughter lives. The police were called on a neighborhood complaint and drawing guns on innocent people and dragging them through the garage. That happened just tonight. Friday night, police officer beat the living heck out of a guy in Carson on the ground, not resisting, but continually to beat him beyond recognition. You know, this is what we're coming into. You know, this is what our police departments are coming to be trained as officers, to serve and protect. They are trained to fight against any causes that are going to be disruptive to them. You know, we saw that during the protest. We had video out there, people being arrested because they were filming. You know, those were the people that got snatched off the streets. This isn't a communist city anymore, you know. We want our city back as the way it was. I grew up here in the city of Fullerton. I went to Nicholas and Woodcrest and Richmond Elementary. You know, I've lived here a long time. And I've seen a lot of changes take place over the years, and this is bad. We need to make changes with this PBR or whatever the police ordinance thing is that's going on right now with the regulations that we're trying to change. and the way the police react and respond. You know, we need that consideration here between the council to start making changes here for us. You know, we live here, we pay your guys' salaries. We're your taxpayers. You know, we are your citizens who elect you. You know, we can also get rid of you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker, please.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lenore Albert, and I'm an attorney in Southern California. I had one reading prepared for you, however, after I've heard everyone speak, I don't think you need to hear those issues, and I think you need to hear something else. First, I want to say thank you to Chief Hughes. I was there on Saturday. His police force, by not interfering from 10 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., there was a wonderful thing that happened. Unfortunately, what did not get reported by the main press and the media is there were a bunch of peaceful protesters out. Some people had shirts with loved ones that had died from police brutality. Other people waved flags. It was a very congenial atmosphere. There were some outliers there. I could not identify them for you, but they were outliers who were trying to cause a ruckus. And the peaceful protesters tried to put them back in line as best as they could. And the community started coming together. You would then see people passing by like a parade in their cars, and they made their own posters, and they were holding their own posters outside the window in support of the community. And it could have been such a positive, wonderful thing. Some people put their posters on their grill. One couple, they were octogenarians, they drove past back and forth like cruising the lanes, and they had a sign in support on the grill of their car, which was an old converted police car. And these were wonderful things, unfortunately, that were robbed by a little bit of outliers. It almost seemed like someone had paid them to come to try to distract the beautiful thing that was happening. But I want you to understand, you do have a good community. You do have a positive community, and don't let the few bad apples take over the story of and the opportunity that you actually have here. And you do have a wonderful opportunity because the world is watching. A lot of times city council members don't have that kind of opportunity to make change and effect change and be an example for other communities, not only in Southern California but around the country. And I hope you do the best, and I'm sure you will do the best to take advantage of that. As far as what happened at 3:30 p.m. on Saturday, I want to paint the very clear picture for you. There were only 5 of us there when the police came. It was myself, my legal assistant, another person, Mr. Thomas, and a PBS reporter. The rest of the group had left. I didn't notice because I was sitting, so Mr. Thomas and the PBS reporter were standing in front of me. The next thing I know, when I look to the left, there's 25 to 50 riot gear police blocking my egress on the street. And I looked to my right, there was another, 25 to 50 police officers in riot gear blocking that side of the street. We asked if we could leave, and we could not. It was through phone calls to Chief Hughes that let us leave, and I want to be very clear here. We didn't get to leave for a long time, and there were only 5 of us there on the sidewalk. I think that should give you pause. There needs to be, I believe that there probably needed to be a reaction to the outliers, but maybe the system needs to be not only in proportion, but at the appropriate time.
Thank you. Your time is up. We have others who'd like to speak. Can you wrap up, please?
Yes. I want to encourage you to take advantage of the opportunity, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. May we have the next speaker, please?
Hello, City Council members, concerned citizens, and law enforcement. I am a very, very angry citizen, but I am peaceful. Let me repeat that. I am a furious citizen, but I come in peace. Also, I am not from the city of Fullerton, and this issue goes far beyond this city. Now, who will protect us, the people, when the police violate the law? I stand here today to speak with truth, even if my voice shakes, even if I am struck down. I do not value my life as much as I value freedom, liberty, and justice. I am speaking out against corruption for my God, and so that my children and their children's children can live in a land that was promised to them by those set in the past years. And it starts right here in the city of Fullerton. I am here for Kelly Thomas, and honestly, it could have been any one of us that night. I am a young American, and I have purpose. Like my forefathers before me, I am here to fight against the tyranny that has taken over the land in which I held so dear. Let me remind you, I come in peace. The brutal murder of any citizen in this country should never be justified by a group of people who are just doing their jobs. For the decline of civilization will be carried out by those who are simply doing their jobs. The job of the police and the judicial system is to protect the people and uphold the Constitution of the United States of America, whether that means exposing crimes committed by chief of police, or that could mean being in good enough shape to be able to detain a 140-pound man. We should not be afraid of the police should be afraid of us. But I can guarantee that a majority of the people in here, when passing a patrol car on the streets, you get an uneasy feeling. When the people are afraid of their government, that is tyranny. We come to the city of Fullerton to demand justice and to put an end to the ongoing police state that has taken over. Why must you show up to our peaceful protests with unwrapped vehicles? Why must you show up in riot gear? We have no intent on violence. We have no weapons. We are unarmed. We come armed with only cameras and protest signs. I have watched this great nation turn into a police state where citizens now fear their lives when dealing with police. It's disgusting, and I will not sit around and watch another American murdered by a policeman. I am fed up with the injustice and corruption of those set in place to protect me. To any policeman or woman, uphold your oath you took to the Constitution.
Sir, your time is up. Can you wrap up, please?
Uphold your oath and protect what you're supposed to protect. Enemies foreign and domestic. Thank you.
May we have the next speaker, please?
And will speakers 30 through 35 please come line up?
A lot of what I was going to say has already been said, so I'm going to keep this pretty short. I just wanted to thank Chief Hughes for standing behind what you've said and saying that you're not going to take them back onto the force. I hope that you all stand behind him and support his decision on that, and that you don't challenge it at all. I know Councilmember Whitaker was out and spoke to supporters at one point and heard our concerns. And when I was listening to other people talking, I thought about the fact that, basically what it's going to come down to is a choice between paying these guys out for wrongful termination or letting them back on the force. And I really hope that you guys take into consideration the fact that no amount of money is worth having a danger to society on the streets. There's no, even if you have to pay them out a ridiculous sum, that's not worth endangering the public. And I just really hope that you take that into consideration. And I also want to say that I think it's important that you guys try and pass a resolution or something to pressure the Department of Justice to file federal charges, which would also take away that problem of wrongful termination. I don't think that it should be up to the community to keep that pressure on them. I think that you guys need to stand up and do that as well. So, sorry I'm shaking. I haven't spoken in front of anyone in like 10 years. But thank you guys.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Captain Hughes. I've been a resident of Fullerton for 12 years. My son went to Nicholas Junior High. He's 25 years old now. When he was a teenager, we had some scrapes. I'm ashamed at the verdict. I'm ashamed at my city, the city of Fullerton, which I love dear to my heart. And I want to say something that nobody has said that I really needed to hear for myself is, what about the officers that had integrity, that did their jobs, that helped me raise my son? What about that? This is a gross injustice to them as well as to us, to a community. We're in this together. And I want to thank you for taking my phone call. I want to thank you for calling me back. You know where my heart is on this issue. You know how painstakingly we've worked to keep it peaceful, to try to calm these kids down. I heard a lot of talk about them being angry, but I didn't hear any talk about them being in fear. They are terrified. What they acted out and their behavior and their inappropriate, yes, they were fearful. I get time to expand with the homeless people in Fullerton. They are absolutely terrified. How come I'm not hearing how terrified they are when they see an officer as a result of this verdict? And that's just what the truth is. And I hear about the feeding, about all these programs. The homeless people that I talk to are so terrified about police, not just in Fullerton, but in the city of Anaheim, that, they're not going to go up and get a sack lunch. It's just not going to happen. And every time they're out in public and an officer goes by, they go towards somebody, or they latch onto somebody. They start moving around and being in the public because they're in fear for their life. And that's something that I didn't hear. I agree with most of the things that were said here today, and I can only hope that that you help us heal the city, sir. I really hope that you help us heal this city, and that we can move forward in unity to address these issues, and we can get some kind of justice. I heard you say that it's not entirely up to you. It is. It is up to you, and I'm begging you. It's up to you, and I'm begging you. Right? I mean, I love this community. I love the young people in this community. Thank you very much for your time.
We are on speaker 35, so 36 through 40, please come line up.
Yes, Mr. Levinson.
Good evening. Barry Levinson, Fullerton resident. Dan Hughes, Fullerton's chief of police, has said very recently, quote, over the course of the past 2.5 years, the City of Fullerton Police Department has taken significant steps to make it the best department possible. The mayor, Doug Chafee, also said, quote, over the course of the past 2.5 years, the City of Fullerton has taken the initiative to implement reforms to our police department so it can provide the best possible service to our community. Over and over and over again, we hear the police chief, the mayor, and others stating how the city and the police chief have instituted significant reforms to our police department. The Webster's Dictionary definition of reform is as follows: an amendment of what is defective, vicious, corrupt, or depraved, or a removal or correction of an abuse, a wrong, or errors, or to put an end to an evil by enforcing or introducing a better method or course of action. The key in this definition is to identify what is defective or corrupt or depraved and then put it in place meaningful changes that will correct the identified problem going forward. My question is a very straightforward one. Can anyone make necessary reforms when the problem has not been identified or specified by the same people in charge, namely our police chief and other leaders of the city? After all, I and hundreds of others heard Acting Chief Dan Hughes state in this very chamber that he watched the Kelly Thomas video and audio over 400 times and could not identify any problems with the 6 officers' actions. We also know that current training officer Rubio testified that the officers were following Fullerton Police Department training procedure. We also know that Sergeant Craig, the highest-ranking officer on the scene that night, testified that he witnessed nothing wrong with the way the police conducted themselves that night. So all the above individuals have indicated very clearly that they saw no problems with the officer's conduct that fateful night. How can you reform behavior that all of you identify as proper? Chief Hughes stated earlier this evening that almost all 59 recommendations have been instituted. However, the one meaningful one, the one that had teeth, was the Independent Civilian Review Board, which he and members of this council have fought tooth and nail to deny the citizens. Instead, we have a toothless police advisory board that you have total control over, sir, with no independence and no power. An innocent life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, the Declaration of Independence. I'm almost done. An innocent life was taken. No weapon, no drugs, showed no aggression toward the police. Liberty, he was falsely held without being arrested or charged. And obviously, since his life was taken, obviously his pursuit of happiness was ended that evening. Thank you.
Hi, City Council and concerned citizens of Fullerton. I want to express my thanks for everybody who's come out and support for justice for Kelly Thomas, especially citizens who are taking the time out of their day. I don't think we just failed to recognize that the people that are speaking tonight obviously are very concerned, and they're not even getting paid. You guys are getting paid by taxpayers to do this. So it shows you how much people care, because they have families and they have a job they got to do. They have a lot on their plate. So just take that in consideration, because we are very concerned about this city, not just our city, but our state and our federal government, who seems to be running out of control every minute. Our system, you have to face it, is very broken. You guys swear to take an oath, a very serious oath, and the Constitution is the oath that you swear to uphold. There's no state or local city code that's going to be able to usurp the Constitution of the United States, and that's what I want to express the most. Because today we witnessed, or this weekend we witnessed a complete abuse of our Constitution. Our First Amendment rights were obviously being trampled on. I already know the Kelly Thomas verdict was obviously very unjust, but I'm not here to cover that. Everybody else already talked about that. I want to talk about the protest and the lack of media coverage, very biased coverage that was perpetrated on purpose to whitewash this coverage of the real peaceful protest. There was really only about 2% out of the rest of hundreds of protesters that were acting unlawful, and I can agree that that was not right, but that does not give the other 98% a reason for riot police to destroy their peaceful protests, and that's a First Amendment right and the right to assemble. There's no reason the police can break that up. They should go after the only people that are doing unlawful acts, and no one's condoning that. So I'm just very disgusted by the media. They're just a joke. Let's face it, the mainstream media is discredited, and they should be the laughing stock. They're supposed to be true journalists. What happened to those people? This is disgusting. And why are our police acting like a bunch of armed thugs? They're basically militarized, paramilitary, with SWAT team, armed to the teeth with tanks. What do you think this is? Gestapo-type police? This isn't Nazi Germany. I hope you guys understand that this is America. So we are fed up with this, and I do not understand how they can even get the money to pay for just a small assembly. You guys really are going to have that type of behavior? Is ridiculous. I'm trying to be as calm as possible, but this is outrageous behavior, and it's setting a very dangerous precedent of where our future is going. There needs to be checks and balances on our government, and I hope more whistleblowers will speak up, because they are the reason why we can turn this tide back, and we need them to speak out. Don't be afraid of losing your jobs, because our future is at stake. Your family is at stake. If you let this continue...
Sir, would you wrap up, please? Your time is up.
I'm sorry. Thomas Jefferson said, when people fear the government, there's tyranny. That is absolutely correct. And when the government fear the people, there is liberty. We need to return that and remember that you swore an oath to abide by the Constitution. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Sean Payton, also a Fullerton resident. Housekeeping matter. Please pull items 3 and 8 from the consent calendar. I want to talk about them when they come up. So the jury verdict. I have nothing to add to that other than that I was completely stunned by it. There's a lot of people that were at the protest. Jay Cicinelli is making a lot of noise about getting his job back. I think it's important for everyone in this room to understand that the people in front of you are going to be making the decision, the final decision, whether to uphold the decision to terminate by Dan Hughes or to reverse that decision and put Cicinelli back on the police force. So I want to make sure, and obviously it's not today, I don't know when it's going to be, it's going to be several months from now when you make that final decision. I want to make sure you all understand right now that if you vote to put him back on the force, you will be out of a job. You absolutely will be out of a job, all of you. Do not even think about it. There's another officer I have a very serious concern with. That was Steve Rubio. Several other commenters have alluded to this. Steve Rubio is responsible for training our cadets. And Steve Rubio and the commenter who said he may have been partially responsible for getting these officers off, that may be true. That he said that the conduct that he saw in the video was consistent with department policy. How on earth do we have a person like that? I'm serious. How do you have a person like that training our cadets? This is supposed to be the new and improved Fullerton Police Department. Do not have, he testified at trial that he is responsible for training cadets. That is what he said in his trial. And if that wasn't the case, there should have been a rebuttal witness explaining that at the trial. I think that's completely unacceptable. We need people who understand our procedures. And there is a very big difference between how people that have been in the department for their entire lives and the people on the outside see conduct from officers. That's why a lot of us fought for the civilian oversight and why I believe, and a lot of us still believe, that that's the right model, and I really think we should consider it. One other point. Talking about the use of the SWAT team. I left the protest at 1:30. When I left, there were no issues, so I can't comment to any of those. I can comment as a general matter as to why we have a SWAT team in a city this size. When you have toys, you like to play with them. And I think we could save a lot of money for the taxpayers, and I think we could avoid problems of abuse if we look at alternatives to a SWAT team. I'd like to have, as the first step, the City Council have a utilization study on our SWAT team to see how exactly we're using them and how effectively they've been used. Incorrect, if we have other Robin Nordell situations.
Sir, your time is up. Would you wrap up?
I've made my point, but thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening. I want to make it very clear that it seems in the media that a lot of us are called rebel rousers, violent people, and that we're coming to tear up your city. You've also heard that a lot of these folks that are behind me, they're sons and daughters of veterans. You know, our parents have taught us well. I'm the daughter of a World War II veteran, the Nisei, Japanese American, who fought in World War II. And despite the odds and the way our government treated people at that time, the Japanese people, my father's unit, along with Texas Division, rescued the Dachau prisoners. What I'm saying here is never dispute or think that you can dissolve people away until they have no power, because Kelly's army is like the 442, the Japanese Americans who went head on and said go for broke and gave their lives for justice and to protect our flag. All of us here love America. You're not going to find anybody who are dissidents or trying to be revolutionaries. We believe in our country, we love our country, but we're also going to protect to our last breath the rights that we have and that our parents and your parents have fought for. And when people think that Kelly Thomas was just a homeless guy, he's a crazy guy, didn't matter, his life didn't matter, when we think in those terms, you absolutely dissolve the hand of God. And when you think about his cries for his father and his cries for his father in heaven, and if that doesn't bother you, I want you to take his face away and put your own family members there. And then think if it's a good idea to have Mr. Cicinelli come back. to have these officers come back and terrorize and haunt this city that's trying to heal. If you want us to believe in you, give us a reason.
And we have the next speaker, please.
41 through 45, please come line up.
Good evening, Mayor Chafee this time, and everyone else. My name is Jason Martinez, and I would like for the City Council to uphold Chief Hughes' decision to not let the 3 officers, Cincinnati, Ramos, and Wolf, to be rehired, even though for aberration. If they become 2 officers again, this will be a horrendous decision for the city, for the citizens, and everyone else that comes in contact with them. Currently, I am really disgusted at the actions of the jury and prosecution and how they actually came upon with the trial recently. I was in the courtroom when they actually read the verdict, which I was really, really shocked on how the justice system has failed us. We haven't failed, the justice system has. And I believe that this is all due to because people like this communism government that's coming around, for our incompetent president, or dictator I should say, that is causing us to fail, causing the justice system to fail. And I believe us as people, we should rise up against the communist government and the police state to actually have peace and serenity in these times that we're fighting through. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Greg Hagedorn. I'm a resident and homeowner in Fullerton. I just wanted to say thank you guys for doing what you do as a city council. I don't think a lot of people here understand what this takes sometimes, the decisions and the you know, they act as though you're paid large amounts of money, and you guys work hard. So I just wanted to say thank you. And to the police chief, I want to tell for you and your staff, thank you for all that you do. I think these people, they call, they want you to come running, and yet they sometimes question every decision you make, and it's a hard job out there. So I just wanted to say thank you for all that you guys do.
Thank you, sir. May we have the next speaker, please?
Hello and good evening, Council, Chief, and all of the residents of the city here. My name is Jeff Levine. I've been here all my life. I ran into Manny many times, and J.C. Sinelli arrested me quite a few years back. I can't remember exactly when, but what I can say is about when he was arresting me, it was pretty ugly, and he arrested a few of my friends. He pulled me up by my handcuffs as I was on the ground, sweared at me, looked at me really weird, creeped me out, okay? If this guy gets rehired, it's not going to be good for the city at all, because you think the little uprising with those groups was bad. If he comes back, I'm just going to say it's not going to be good. It's going to make things, it's going to set us back. Not only going to set us back more, okay, than we already are, but it's just going to not be good. So hopefully he doesn't get rehired. Bad enough, this verdict, not, no charges whatsoever, just this. Come on. If that was me, I wouldn't be standing here. I'd be on the Grey Goose going on my way to the death chamber. Okay? So, and I do want to say for the record, Chief Hughes, to all the other officers, we got to be fair. I always am. I go up to them, and they're great officers, so we got to remember that too. And it's not easy for them to do their jobs out here. But that's pretty much all I have to say. And as far as the protests go and the melee that occurred, it wasn't that bad in my opinion, just like that lady was saying earlier. I was there the whole time. There was some impeding of traffic and whatnot, but as far as deploying, all that, I don't think that was really necessary. I stood there on my corner, and it looked like to me many of the officers was just like, God, you know, I want to go home. So anyways, I just want to say that, and hopefully no rehire, and you know, and that's all I have to say. Thank you, and have a great night.
Thank you, sir. May we have the next speaker, please?
And will speakers 47 through 50 please come up and line up?
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Jesse Latour. I've been up here a few times before. I was trying to make notes of what I was going to say, and I couldn't really think of what to say, so I'm just going to sort of freestyle it. I am just bewildered. I'm frustrated, as many people are. I'm angry. I was there at the protest for like the first couple hours, and it was totally peaceful, albeit angry. I was angry. Everybody was angry, I think. But I didn't have the experience of being there when the riot police arrived and all of that. So I don't know what to say. I was thinking about, I was having lunch with my brother and my nephew, who's 10, and just the other day, and my brother showed up at the protest for a little bit. He's from out of town, and I was having lunch, and my nephew, who's 10, asked, where were you? What were you doing? And I looked at my brother, and I'm like, I mean, can I say this to him? He's 10. You know, like, how do I explain this? That police officers killed a guy. There was a video of it, and the jury found him not guilty. Like, how do you say that to a 10-year-old? You know, what's the precedent that sets for his belief in just being a safe person? I teach English. The theme of my course is, because I love the city so much, is writing about local issues. And I've had many students write essays about the Kelly Thomas thing and how it galvanized the community like nothing I've ever seen in my life. And as tragic as it was, it almost gave me hope that people can affect change and they can actually make a difference. And then I got the verdict came in, and I don't know what to say to my students even. Like, I don't know what to say to them. I don't know what to say to my nephew who's 10. I don't know what to say. I'm baffled. I know you guys didn't make that decision, but I hope to God that you will lead so this won't ever happen again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. My comment and question is directed more towards Captain Hughes and indirectly to the council members and Mr. Jones. My name is Rosalind, and I am a 10-year resident of Fullerton, formerly of Downey, and I actually have a cousin that was on the Downey PD. My husband, however, his family have been here since the 40s, and he, being the youngest of 7, he also has a brother that is schizophrenic. So, yes, my point, there seems to be a general consensus, because we have, this family has kind of a big presence in Fullerton. My father-in-law used to play pool with a Muckenthaler kid and is friends with Empty Disposal founder. So that, with that established, my question is, the consensus between pretty much everyone, because my brother-in-law lives at City Lights, is that the Fullerton PD have not been particularly kind to the homeless or the mentally ill in Fullerton. So my question to Captain Hughes is, since this case has been in existence since the Kelly Thomas beating, what kind of training, or have there been a lot more improvement in how the officers are being trained to handle the homeless and the mentally ill? Because there is a significant problem in how, obviously from the comments tonight, that there's a lot of concern how the police department handles people who are mentally ill. So I would like to know if you have any comments to make about that.
We will take that up later. Please address the council, and we will ask those questions later, the chief.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
We are, looks like we're at the end of our speaker card, so anybody else who has a speaker card that wants to come up, we're on our last batch.
Come on down.
This is on this item only. If you have a speaker card on a different item, then please wait for that item to come up.
Okay. Am I go? Oh, yeah.
Sorry, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's okay. Hello. Good evening. I'm Scott Wilkins, and I'm a resident here in Fullerton. And not going to hammer home this verdict thing because I don't even want to try to wrap my head around it because it's just something that you watch the video, you see what happens. It's pretty straightforward, regardless how they spin it in the courts. It's just, and hence it's probably why the feds are involved, and we'll see what happens with the civil and so on and so forth. I really, really urge the five of you to definitely not let Cincinnati back here. He's just not wanted here. His damage has been done. It's time to move on, and you just tell him that. It's pretty simple. Chief Hughes, thanks for standing strong on that. I know this hits hard with you. I know you've been out there since the beginning. We saw you out there. In retrospect, when you go all the way back to the whole beginning of this thing, when it was a different panel up here, and we were despised, and we were told when we were protesting then we were, blocking the streets, and we were a mob, we were a lynch mob, all that stuff. And then Saturday came along, and same old story came out. Oh, they got turned violent. The headlines went everywhere. And then you think back, and you think of the very soul of this city being ripped apart by a police department, galvanized, if you want to call it, but the soul of the city has has a wound and a scar on it like it will never, ever. I think you will hear the screams of Kelly Thomas through these streets, especially in the downtown, forever. It will never go away. The kids that were out there, yeah, some of them were pretty damn angry, and they have a right to be. But you have to remember, this is the youth. They're restless right now. They're angry. These aren't 40, 50-year-old people out there pissed off. Most of them were pissed off out there, but we were peaceful about it. The kids are angry. And you have to remember, there's a plethora of information out there for them. And they're not just kids. They're very, very smart human beings. And just before I go, just remember that when the only tool that you have is the police, everything starts to look like a riot. And when you don't have the civilian oversight yet, it speaks volumes. And people, I think, are also angry. One more second. When the people are also angry because other cops don't come up and say anything, because the silence is deafening, man. It's deafening. Just deafening. Anyways, I know you guys will do the right thing. Just make sure that creep doesn't come back here. None of them.
Thank you, sir. May we have the next speaker, please?
My name is Patrick Hughes. I'm a current resident of Fullerton for the last 5 years. Good evening, council members, Fullerton police staff, and most importantly, Kelly's Army. I'm actually nervous, not because of the crowd, just I want to be a good voice tonight. Let me start with this. 20 years ago, I was on the opposing side of the law. I'm not proud of my past. I had a bad past. I'm a changed man now. I'm a man working on integrity, equality, solution, and a better spirit for myself. As far as the public outcry for the situation, first off, I do request, as a promise or a commitment, like Captain Hughes, that they not being reinstated. I actually question, per this quote, let me interrupt with this. The world is a dangerous place to live, not because of the people who are evil, but because of the people who don't do anything about it. So let me ask this. Work towards a commitment. Do not reinstate the officers. If you plan to, if you need to, whatever the cost may be, make commitments to the lost life of Kelly Thomas towards the least difficult. Psychological evaluations, background checks, what they're doing to improve themselves. This is a traumatic act. His life is just as important as any life in this room. Council members, police staff, me, Kelly's Army. Equality. He was a human being. His life was taken. And what were his rights when he was approached? I studied into psychology because in my current spiritual growth, I deal with dual diagnosis. So I was forced to educate myself on mental health. The approach and the professionalism and the training, the way he was approached, and I highly doubt they were not previously educated of his mental state, was unacceptable. Okay? And the approach would have made defense. I'm surprised Kelly Thomas didn't react more violently. And because of the cause of it, whatever came about, he died. Let him be an example. Make change now. That's all I got. Thank you.
My name is Joel. I'm a lifelong citizen of Fullerton, California. I'm a current tax-paying resident of Fullerton. I wasn't out here in 2011 for the protests, although I was appalled at the brutal murder of Kelly Thomas in the streets by the Fullerton Police Department. I did come out after I saw the unjust verdict to protest Saturday. I remained on the grounds of the Fullerton PD and the sidewalk because I felt that that's where the protest should be targeted. And I didn't want the streets being blocked from motorists. However, I saw the people in the street letting cars through. I realized there's a lot of tension and anger. However, I felt that the response of the Fullerton Police Department in response to the protesters was disgusting and overpowering. It was just too much of a show of force. The riot police, that tank. I saw protesters filming cops, which is perfectly legal in the United States of America. And I saw one of these journalists whose film was fortunately Ustreamed and uploaded, abducted by the Fullerton riot police, and the guy running right at her said, "You like that? You like that?" at the end of the video. I watched it, and I said, yeah, well, he looked like he was going to rape her or something. But I liked it because I like the First Amendment, and I like free speech and free press. And what country am I living in when we don't have that, when the Fullerton riot police, and I saw reports of people getting disappeared on the street? Disappeared. Unmarked cars pulling people walking away from the protests off the street. And just no Miranda rights. Just, you're arrested, come with us. Who are those? Are those Fullerton police officers? Who are these people? Am I living in Nazi Germany? I have, in my opinion, based on the evidence I've seen, an unconstitutional president, unconstitutionally elected, and I want to know where from the top down is this coming from? We know all about Agenda 21. I want to know where are these orders coming from? And Chief Police Hughes, I spoke to your press representative, Officer Jeff, out front earlier, and I told him I want to see the rest of the department able to speak out, the good cops in this town. I want to see them able to speak. Otherwise, we have no trust, and the Fullerton Police Department has no legitimacy.
Sir, your time is up.
Thank you.
Hello, how are you tonight? I came here for a few issues, and one of them was to speak for the people of Fullerton here. I've been a long-time resident in this city for a long time. And I've talked to a lot of people about what happened with Kelly. And the majority of them, we don't agree with the decision that the jurors made, but we have to live with that. But my question here is, I think you know what to do with the officers. Because if not, I really believe you won't be back here anymore. But that's your decision and your chance you must take. But one of my concerns is, by letting these officers go, what's this going to cost the city? City attorney, excuse me, sir. What might this cost the city if we opt to do it this way? Because you know they're going to sue for the job back. And I believe this is what's going to happen, and you're going to pay them off. And I want to know what's this going to cost the taxpayers here. And to go along with that is, people aren't going to want to move here. People aren't going to get the money for their homes, other things. You're here for that, not just the Kelly thing, but you're here to represent us to your best ability to make sure as a homeowner and things like that that these things are addressed, because they're very important to us, just the average person, you know, that lives in this town. And my next issue would be, I know we're concerned about the police. I don't know what we do about it, but I think an oversight committee would maybe put a few people at ease. And I don't know why you're against it. I don't know, you know what I mean? But we can't engage you guys because you never answer us anything, so there's never any engagement with one of the city council. I'm sure that's because of time. But I would like someone to explain to me why we don't have an oversight committee. And, you know, I think the people are due an explanation on that. It's been going around for a long time. It was suggested by the one of the guys doing, we paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to. And to me, it's the most important issue he came up with. And it's just kind of been looked at here like it's no big deal. It is a big deal because people are concerned. And that's all I have to say, but I hope you listen to us, and there are a lot of people concerned on what's going on in this town, especially those of us that have lived here most of our lives. So thank you for your time.
Yeah. No, sir. Let's finish with the comments. We'll have opportunity in a minute. Let's keep going.
Good evening. The 14th Amendment guarantees every person the right to be free from government intrusions into their life, liberty, and justice. Taking a life by government without due process is a violation of that person's 14th Amendment rights. The legislative body, the City Council, has a duty to hold the police accountable. It is your duty as part of checks and balances to uphold. Thomas Kelly and other victims tried to cash your check, council members, but it bounced. There can be no disagreement that a less than full, fair, and meaningful opportunity to be heard by these victims occurred in your jurisdiction under your watch. You are responsible. You are accountable. The people elected you, and the people would be hopefully justified in recalling each and every one of you because you failed in your duty here. The case did not have to go to trial because you had the ultimate power to change things. You were complacent. You did not attend that trial. You have not changed police policy. In fact, you have militarized your police and stood idly by. When it was stated that public hearings are police policy, it was your duty to stand up and object, but no one heard you utter one word. So I want to know what's going on. You know, what has happened to this country? This is not an isolated incident. What has happened here? We've gone from Mayberry to a militarized police state. Are you going to wait until it happens to one of you, one of your family members? You know, this is just unbelievable. You know, I've seen a lot of online content about this. People all over, they don't want to come here. They're saying don't shop there. Don't live there. I'm an ex-businessman. I've had 3 businesses. I monitor businesses for sale in your city and others in Orange County. I'm not going to come here until I see some major changes done. I'm not going to go to Anaheim. I'm not going to go here. This is not an isolated incident. This happened all over the United States. Police are militarized. This is a police state.
I'll sell my house. You want tax dollars?
Sir, sir, please don't disrupt the meeting. Please don't disrupt.
I'm seeing online content. People want to come here with guns. Do you want to see people come here with guns? You've got to make decisions. You have an opportunity. This is the moment of opportunity. Opportunities don't come that often. You've got to grasp it. Seize the day. Do what's right. That's what I have to say.
Thank you, sir. May we have the next speaker, please?
We have 4 more speakers.
Spoken already on the matter?
Yes.
All right, we'll not hear them again. Have we completed all of those who have had an opportunity to speak?
No, we have 4 more.
4 more. Well, we won't deny them that opportunity. If there are 4 more, let's have our next speaker.
Hello, my name is Brian Gertis. I've lived in the city for 37 years. I have a business here that I've had for over 20 years. I just wanted to make a couple comments quickly, a few of my thoughts. I don't know if many of the people in the public realize that our police officers in the city of Fullerton are some of the highest paid police officers in Southern California. They have tremendous benefits. Many of the police departments many of the police officers on our department make upwards of $100,000 a year, and after retirement are given packages that are in the realm of 90 to 100% of their highest paid when they leave. That's for the rest of their life. It's really disturbing to me when I drive around in my daily life, when I'm at work, because I'm a professional, I spend a lot of time on the road. I spend a lot of time listening to talk radio. Irregardless of what station it is or what their politics are, what I hear a lot of is I hear references about our city that are going out all over the world, references to the terrible things that have been happening in our city, and to me it's very embarrassing. I can't believe that my tax dollars paying police officers that were paid as much as these police officers were basically resulted in a citizen that could have been anyone in this room ending up dying from a normal, ordinary case of being detained. The last thing I'd like to say is, and with great respect to Ron Thomas for his son, is on that day, that could have been my son. It could have been my beautiful, beautiful son that is sitting in this room right now, who goes to Biola University. It's in his 4th year, and he's here on an assignment today. It could have been my son that day. It could have been anyone in this chamber. It could have been their son. And to me, that's unacceptable as a person who pays taxes here, and my tax money is paying professional police officers. So I just wanted to say that I really appreciate that we all have an opportunity to speak here and voice our opinion. But I'd just like everybody to think about that could have been any one of our sons that day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, my name is Alicia. I am from Fullerton, and I've lived here 15 years. I watched part of the video. I haven't been able to watch the whole thing because it's really hard to watch. It really is. But one of the things that made clear to me is these are bullies with badges. We should fire all bullies with badges. I am in the food and hospitality industry, and I know what it takes to work with people. And we should never hire bullies with badges. We need peace. Peace officers. In 15 minutes and 48 seconds, I watched Ramos go like this, and he said, I'm going to F blank 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 you up. John, is this proper police training? Thomas was 140 pounds. He had 1,146 pounds on him. My horse weighed about 930 pounds. Imagine a horse sitting on a person. No wonder he died of asphyxiation to the brain. Training is everything. Please train the new police officers. Please train them in how to handle proper technique, the arm lock technique, proper armor technique, one person, one well-trained person could handle that. Father, Ron, a black belt, could have handled this. Why did they have to have 6 untrained cops? Again, I'm in the food and hospitality industry. It is so important that I take care of my guests. If the guests are upset, I need to smile and be patient and be tolerant, and I'm very, very good at what I do. And I ask that we find police officers who have that same mentality in the food and hospitality industry and train them that way. With that, because I know you guys go through a lot of stuff, but if you have that tolerance, have that caring, and have that mentality, this won't happen. This won't happen. Again, we do not want to hire BWBs. We do not want to hire bullies with badges. We want to hire police officers. Please hire peace officers. Peace officers. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hi everyone, my name is Liz and I'm a longtime resident of the neighbor city of Santa Ana. This issue greatly affects me. Both my aunt and my uncle were lifetime peace officers, and another uncle of mine was schizophrenic and at one time homeless. In my time at University of California, Berkeley, I made a lot of friends in the homeless community, and I spent a lot of my time also in downtown Fullerton. So like I said, this hits very close to home, and when I read the verdict in the paper, the acquittal, the not guilty, I called to my mom for answers, and she said to me, "It may look like evil has won, but it has not. It may look like evil has won, but it has not. And you all have the power to make a change." There's over 12,000 homeless people in Orange County, and there's also a statistic that says 1 in 5 are affected with mental illness at some point in their life. And I implore you to make a stand and use your position that you've been elected to speak for those voices that are not that far in the minority. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
This is our last speaker.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Alvarez.
Thank you, council members, and everyone else who's been here for a while. I'm going to try and stay on task here, but so much has been said tonight with so many things, so many people spoken. I think there's a song Crosby, Stills Nash sang that said, "The darkest hour is always just before the dawn." And I think that this is a moment for Fullerton that we can define as a city what we go from here. So first and foremost, I want to just show my support for Chief Dan Hughes, as always. I look up to him and I respect him as the chief. I believe that he will make the right decisions for our city. And if he does not, we will hold him accountable, as we do everyone, or should hold everyone. I want to share that we should all be thankful and grateful that we live in a country where we can all protest peacefully, and I underscore peacefully, and show their disagreement to the issues. I come from a country where some people have spoken about a police state. I come from a country where if you even mention something against the government, you either get shot on sight or you get put in jail. And you get put in jail for a long, long time. So I understand what is going on. And I understand that the fact that there were just a small group of vandals, a small group of people that didn't even have the guts to not wear bandanas and not wear masks to show who they were the ones who ruined it for all the peaceful demonstrators. As I watched 106 slides that were put up on the Facebook page, there were peaceful people out there. There were mothers with their children. There were grandmothers. There were older people there. It had nothing to do with these vandals. But for us to classify all of these protesters as bad protesters because of a few is just as bad of the people who say all the police should die, all the police are bad, just because you have a few bad. And I think that that's very, very important for us to take away from here, is when we apply this logic, that we apply it across the board in a fair and equal way, not just pointing out certain things. Let's see here. The added cost to the city of having to deal with these demonstrators, mostly the vandals that went on. I believe that everyone in this room, in our city, outside of this room, watching us on TV or whatever, can agree that that money could have been better spent and should have been spent on proactive and better programs for us to be able to eliminate this from ever happening again in our city. We must decide tonight as a city and the citizens of Fullerton to be involved at every level to move forward and mend the wounds and the damage that has been done to our city, communicate with all that request your time, but we must bridge those gaps and mostly understand that we have to move forward positively and as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, that's the closing of the public comments. I'll bring it back to council. And Mr. Whitaker, I cut you off. Would you start, please?
Well, as a point of order, that was not public comments. That was a regular agenda item. And when a few moments ago I asked you that if I could address the speaker, I believe you ruled improperly and did not allow me to do so. So my point is, and I will appeal such decision next time, but I'm not trying to, I mean, we took this item out of order. It's a regular agenda item. And the speaker was addressing the council as a whole and questioning why we do not support a citizens oversight panel for police activities in the city. I just wanted to clarify that I do support such a citizens oversight commission and did not want my silence or inability to speak to that to stand as some sort of assent to that charge.
You had that opportunity just now. The police oversight thing was related to the agenda item, and I wanted to finish with the public comments. I did not want to interfere with their time, and now you have that opportunity to speak.
But we haven't had public comments yet, is my other point.
No, I'm sorry. The agenda item was related to the police oversight, and the public was commenting on that agenda item. If I may make that more clear. And you've just had an opportunity to clarify your thoughts. Are there other comments that the council members would make, or questions you would ask? There are a few that questions that the people in the audience had asked. Anything that you would have to say, Councilmember Flory?
Yes. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. It's not customary for all of us to sit up here and keep our mouths shut, but there is a reason for that. The majority of you have spoken to the issue of there not being any change within the police department or in this city. The events that led to Kelly Thomas's beating death 2.5 years ago, that did occur 2.5 years ago. There have been 3 city council members that were recalled, 3 newly elected city council people. We have a new police chief. We have had a complete top-to-bottom audit of our police department. That top-to-bottom audit led to 54 or 59 recommendations that were made by Michael Giannacco, who is one of the highly acclaimed investigators who deals with police issues such as this. By the time Mr. Giannacco had made his report to this council in August or September of 2012, fully half of those recommendations had already been initiated by our then interim chief, Dan Hughes. Dan Hughes made regular contact with Kelly's Army. He reached out to people who were protesting weekly. He was not absent. He was also a very important part of the social scene in Fullerton because he was reaching out for community opinions. With respect to the Police Oversight Committee, that was dealt with by this council on at least 2 city council meetings. And in fact, we had a study session prior to the city council meetings in which this council explored several different models for police oversight, and they went from everything from a chief's advisory committee to an annual audit to a civilian police oversight committee with subpoena powers, etc. One of the reasons that this council opted not to do the civilian oversight with police with subpoena powers was that it came slam up against and in conflict with state legislation that protects police officers. Because of that, we were advised by legal counsel that we could not adopt that. So what did we do instead? We chose an audit model. And what that means is that Mr. Giannacco or a similar kind of consultant who is experienced in these kind of matters will audit our police department on a regular basis to make sure that current policies and best practices are followed. So for those of you in the audience who believe that there have been no changes in this city, I would suggest to you that you have not got the right information. I have not been briefed on what happened Saturday afternoon. I was out of the country. In fact, I was out of the country when I heard the verdict, and I was surprised. I have since read all of the newspaper accounts about it. I understand your anger and your need to express your sadness and pain over the verdict. That said, the people have spoken. In this instance, the people were the 12 jurors that listened every day to the testimony. And you know, I gave you the courtesy of not interrupting your comments, and I would appreciate it if you would extend the same courtesy to me. Anyway, we are all learning a lot through this process. This has not been easy for this council either, because consider that you are banging on 3 members of the council who weren't even here at the time of this incident. In fact, 4 members. So I, for one, hear you, and I'm sure that my colleagues on this council hear you also. We also are long-time citizens of this community. I've had roots here since 1970. Doug Chafee has had roots here and his family even before that. We are very concerned about what happens here. We are also very concerned that we hire the best employees of the city, both police and otherwise, to serve our community. I attend monthly meetings at the police station so that I can hear what's going on. And one of the things that I know our citizens are demanding is that when they pick up the phone and call for police assistance, they want police assistance. And so I would ask you to consider that and bear with us as we go through this process, which is a new thing for us too. We're all learning, and I appreciate your indulgence.
Well, thank you, Councilmember Flory. I do have a couple questions for the chief, because there were some questions from some members of the audience, how the department has changed since the Kelly Thomas incident. I would start by saying we have a new chief, a very good chief. I know that among the things you did, you had our first open house in 20 years, followed by a second one, and I think there'll be a third one coming up this year. And I know you completely rewrote the policy manual. I think you put it online. And every officer has had homeless training since that incident, every one of them. And I do believe we have a liaison with the county mental health department, and they sometimes accompany our officers with a staff person. Can you comment on that, please?
Sure. Well, I would just tell you, in specific to, I forget her name, one of the ladies' names that had asked specifically about the homeless issues that we do. I think it's important. I think we saw a presentation from Corporal DiCaprio today of some of the efforts that are being done within our police department. So we have advanced our efforts in the homeless liaison program from 1 officer to 4. As you had mentioned, not only have our police officers received 8 hours of training of mental health and issues, how to de-escalate situations involving people with schizophrenic and other illnesses, but our entire staff has. Everything from our jailers to our records clerk, our entire staff received that training. In addition to that, we have then we have sent another 12 officers to get a 3-day training on issues related to the homelessness. And then we're obviously working very closely with our nonprofit organizations to see how we can better meet the needs of this part of our community. And we have recently, and I think we're the only ones in the county who have now signed an agreement with the Orange County Mental Health. And now the Orange County Mental Health has a mental health clinician that actually rides with our police officers, mostly our homeless liaison officers, to actually try to help them with the needs. And we've also been trying to identify the number of homeless individuals we have and trying to get information in terms of what type of medicines do they need, what do they take, who are their doctors, who are family members, and any other specifics about them, because many times the police department are assisting the fire department on some type of medical aid, and there is no information about what type of medicines they've taken or what they need. And so we're trying to build this database that's simply to help our homeless population. And so in addition to that, we have contracted with community service programs out of Orange County. We now have licensed and professional counselors that are riding with our officers on an ongoing basis. They are providing not only additional assistance with first responders to domestic violence incidents, but have also responded to a number of other calls. So they are handling if there was an accident involving significant injuries or a fatality. They also are counselors that are in our cars that are actually providing immediate assistance to them as well. We have also, again, in terms of communications, we have tried to advance our communications by strengthening our days through service days, having police officers understand the concept of serving our community and what that means and being a participant of that. We have not only initiated that, but we have also been a part of many others. Recently, partnering with some of our nonprofit organizations to repaint the Women's Transitional Living Center. We've done other cleanup days and really just helped residents with different things, as well as our Boys and Girls Club. We've also started an annual report, which was the first, I guess, annual report since 1967. But we started that last year, and we'll be releasing a new annual report in the next couple of months. As you mentioned, our open house, we've opened our police department because I just truly believe that we should be proud of what we're doing within our department. We're opening it up. We want people to see how we operate, how we train, what our jail facility looks like. We want them to meet our police officers and not just command staff who are going to be speaking, or not just a press information officer, but the officers who actually are patrolling their neighborhoods, and let them communicate with them and find out what are some of the things that they're doing. We've obviously started a web page and Facebook and a number of other programs. We have reinstituted a program which is community policing and crime strategy, where I think Jan mentioned, we meet once a month, your entire command staff, all your lieutenants, a sergeant from every single investigative bureau, detectives, and then any other officers that want to come. And we really just talk about how do we improve the quality of life in the city of Fullerton, and how do we reduce crime, and how do we partner with our community to try to improve that quality of life. Certainly we have also reorganized our department. As you mentioned, I am the new police chief. We have 2 new police captains. There are 4 new lieutenants. Almost our entire command staff has changed in the last 2 years, as well as we have brought on a number of police officers as well. I mentioned the Victims Advocate Ride-Along program. Our policies and procedures have been updated. Those, for the first time, have also been placed online for the public to view. And if they have any questions, they can call us. We have also had 2 citizen academies, and where really community members can sign up for this program. It's a 10-week program where they get to learn about the police department. And again, instead of hearing from a police chief or police administrator, although they get to hear from that, they actually get training how do internal affairs department work. Well, they get that training from our internal affairs investigators, and how do we handle homicide investigations. That is taught by our homicide detectives. And so it's just to provide a better overview of our police department, why we do what we do. Again, I mentioned the fact that we have hired an outside company to do our background investigation. I think this is a huge step in the right direction for a number of reasons, which I discussed earlier. And one of the comments that some of the people said is in regarding our training, and I think that's probably the most important part, is that we have increased our training of our police officers, and I think the most important element of this training is that we've also now included what is the moral and ethical reasons for using force, and how do we de-escalate force. So we have, in my viewpoint, have spent a lot of time and money over the years on technology and different equipment, but little in regards to the consequences of not using that technology or that equipment in an appropriate manner. And so we are spending much more time in terms of how we are utilizing our officers and how they're utilizing force to make sure that we use as little force as possible. And again, I think that just touches some of them. I will just, again, I don't want to take up all your time tonight, but there were some comments made, and I want to make it very clear that I agree with many of the comments that have been made. I have made a promise to this council, a promise to my department, a promise to this community that anybody who wears this badge needs to demonstrate integrity, honor, character, and service and professionalism. And that wearing of this Fullerton badge is not a entitlement. It's a privilege. And that any police officer who betrays the oath that they've made to this department and betrays the oath that they make to this badge and what this badge represents, I will do everything in my lawful authority to ensure that they never have the privilege of wearing this badge again. That is simple. It's what I tell every single police officer that is hired, and it's what I tell every officer that gets promoted through our ranks. And so hopefully that will answer some of your questions.
Thank you. It did a lot. Yes, council member. Person over here.
Me.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I just didn't want to. Thank you, Chief, for that update. And I wanted to thank everyone who came tonight to share your pain and your passion, your concerns with us. And I want you to understand that we do hear you, and that I'm confident that you have 5 people up here who take their job seriously and who were motivated to run for City Council because of our love for this community. So I just want you to know that we do take our job very seriously, and I ask you to, to respect the time that it's going to take going forward.
Yes, thank you. And yes, Mr. Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, it is a painfully slow process. Chief Hughes, there were a couple of, actually several allegations about officer conduct over this past Saturday. I realize it's a personnel matter, and certainly not in a public forum can you get into the details of that at this time, but I would ask that you look into that and brief the council on what happened, what didn't happen. I know you review the DARs and have some record as to what may have occurred. I'd be interested to understand that a little bit better.
Absolutely, sir. And I will tell you, too, and just in response to some of the questions, one of the things that I think is important is that for a number of weekends and months, we had protests and demonstrations at our police department, and we worked with Mr. Thomas, the Kelly's Army, so many other people, and we never had any problems at all at any of those protests or any of those demonstrations. Everybody conducted themselves in an appropriate manner. What was different about this protest, and I think many people had made that comment, is that it was peaceful initially, and what occurred is you can protest in front of a police department or anywhere else, and we are going to make sure, even if we disagree with your comments, we are here to ensure that you have that First Amendment right, and you could say whatever you want to, but you can't do things that are unlawful and say that we should stand by and do nothing. When you not only begin doing vandalisms, but you block intersections, you run and block all lanes of the traffic, all through Commonwealth, up and down Harbor, stopping buses, stopping people who are calling 911 in fear of what was happening. Then you go to a restaurant and you begin tipping over tables, throwing chairs, and then when you return, you begin assaulting part of the media, we have an obligation to act. And when some of the protesters bring with them slingshots with marbles and begin making threats of having Molotov cocktails and going to burn the police department down, we have an obligation to act. So we certainly have an obligation to ensure that people can have a peaceful demonstration, a peaceful protest. We will do everything and have done everything in our authority to ensure that takes place. We did nothing different and planned nothing differently than what we have other ones. We blocked the intersections for them. We put barricades there for them. In past, we brought out water, we brought out chairs, we brought out ice to help facilitate. Unfortunately, people came to this particular one with the intent to disrupt it and cause violence. And I thank many of the people of Kelly's Army. I thanked some from Orange County Occupy who went out of their way in an effort to try to persuade others not to do these type of violence. They are to be applauded. The others, unfortunately, chose to do bad things, and then we will go ahead and have to do what we have to do to make sure our city is going to be safe. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Chief. Is there any other comment from any member of the council or question?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
My earlier comment was finishing up on agenda item 12. So I presume that we're in council and successor agency staff communications now. Is that correct?
No, that's... there's another item before that. The normal public comment thing.
All right. Then I'll withhold for that portion. So we are going to go back to public comment.
Well,
Yeah.
I would move to receive and file the item.
There's a second.
Second.
Okay. Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's received and filed. We've been sitting here for some time. We're going to take a brief break, and then we'll be right back.